Alright everybody, good afternoon. Joe DeGregorio checking in with you on this Tuesday afternoon. As you probably noticed, having issues trying to go live. I don't know if that's a Cox issue or what, but anyhow, I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to record a video, then upload it. So, again, this is not a live video, pre-recorded. So here we go. Taking a look, Invest 93L. Last 5 hours satellite imagery, radar overlay. You can see 98 or 93L, pretty impressive early this morning with thunderstorms, and then they've since waned a bit, and you can see there's a lot of shear that's affecting the system right now, and it's being basically elongated from south to north. And you see this old frontal boundary here, and you got that zonal flow, southwesterlies, west to east. There's your very heavy shear in place, and as this boundary starts to lift north, this moisture will start to stream in, and the way the setup is looking right now, we're going to have the cold front dropping down that'll meet this old boundary and this tropical moisture, and that's going to set the stage for thunderstorms and showers tomorrow. And then once the front passes, showers and thunderstorm will end, and we'll get a little bit of a cool down, not so much during the day. It'll be about basically a repeat of what has been the last couple of days. So don't look for too much of a big change until we get into next week, and we'll talk about that in a minute. First, anyone has any concerns about 93L, don't. The way this is setting up, it's nothing but a rainmaker. 93L will continue to drift around down here in the Bay of Campeche, and eventually it's going to get shunted off to the east, northeast. So depending on where that next frontal boundary sets up at, how far it gets into the Gulf, that's going to determine where across Florida it's going to go. Don't expect any development. Shear is going to be too strong. It's just a very, very hostile environment with an insane amount of shear and dry air also. So 93L, don't worry about it. Rule number 7. So with that said, as we look forward, we'll take away the satellite imagery here, and we'll show you the latest models. You see basically that the models just have it kind of wandering around down here, and that's going to continue until the front gets through here, and until what we're going to have is basically two fronts back to back. We'll have the first one, and then we'll have a little stronger one come down that's going to push that first one further out into the Gulf, and until that second front drops down, which will be a dry front, this thing's just going to meander, and then it's either going into Mexico or it's going to go east, northeast, and follow the front. So we have the blocking mechanism that's going to be in place, the dry air and the shear. No worries for Louisiana, period. Alright, so with that said, here comes our front. It's going to be diving down, and again, don't expect a big cool down with either. What's coming next week, towards the end of next week, some may see 40s next week. I say some, mainly along and north of the I-12, I-10 corridor. Coincidentally, I'll be moving that weekend. So, yep, it's official. Friday, October 21st, I go get the keys to my new place back there on Tiger Bend Road. And that was the place I was at for 7 years before I had to move when I come back off the Baywatch filming the end of May in 2016. And um, moved between Denham and Walker on Burgess Avenue, and then a couple months later, well, we all know what happened, August 2016. So it's been a long struggle, very difficult, hard road these last 6 years. Finally going home. And some of you know where I used to live at and the apartment that I was in. Well, I'm in the same building, just 3 doors down. Coincidentally, 3 doors down, pretty decent band. So anyhow, that's going to happen, and I am beyond ready. I'm also beyond grateful for everybody that has stepped up and donated to help make this possible. And internet should be up and running that following Monday or Tuesday. I've already got it set up to where uh, they're gonna bring me the kit. I'll do the self-install, and we should be good to go. And since I will be hardwired into the modem, or router, if you will, router modem, shouldn't have any connectivity issues. And upload speeds will be about triple what I've got right now. So full HD live streaming on it, doing these presentations should not be an issue, period. Unless we get outages. So with that said, we'll take a zoom out here, and you can see where everything's setting up. And what I'm going to show you now is tomorrow there is a risk for isolated severe. Primarily, it's going to be isolated, damaging wind threat, as well as large hail up to 1 inch in diameter, basically along the line from Laurel, Mississippi, south of Brookhaven, south of Natchez, across the northern tier of Alexandria, and over towards Manny, Toledo Bend Reservoir, and then on over in the Nacogdoches, Texas, and those areas. And so right now, not expecting anything down here. We could have some loud and rather boisterous thunderstorms, and we're going to take a look at the morning run, the 12Z of the HRRR, and let's see, what time is it? It's 2 p.m. So let's go to 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's see what we've got, where everything is situated here. Alright, so we'll start the loop. That's at 21 hours. From 4 a.m. on the 12th to 7 a.m. on the 13th. It's almost a 24-hour run. Actually, it's going to be a 27-hour run. We'll let this load up real quick for you here and give you a general idea. Frame should be finished loading here in just a second. I may have to bump this time frame back a little bit, but we'll see. Now, what I will say is if the H.R.R. holds um, and continues, being it is one of the premier short-range convective allowing models, um, if it continues to hold, don't be surprised if we see this sliver right here or something like that. Whoop. An extension of this marginal risk areas in these areas here, which would include the Baton Rouge metro and New Orleans area. Um, it's entirely possible. As we're going through Wednesday's timeline here, you can see nothing really too big gets in there until the wee hours of Thursday morning. So before daybreak into the early morning hours. And we'll let this run one more time here. Let me take away that. Let's go back. We'll run it through the sequence again here. We'll zoom in a bit. So tomorrow morning, not too bad. A few sprinkles here and there. Tomorrow afternoon, not much of anything. A couple of isolated little boomers here and there as you get into tomorrow evening, tomorrow night. And then as we start to get into the overnight hours tomorrow night and the Thursday morning, then here comes that front. And you can see it is painting some strong cells embedded in that line. And as we get to 3 a.m., you can see pretty intense cells embedded in this line, all the way from Krotz Springs up to St. Francisville, New Roads, Rougon, possibly across the Felicianas here and into southern Mississippi here, Liberty, Gloucester, Macomb, Magnolia, etc., and then on up through Prentice, Collins, Mount Olive, and up through Hattiesburg, or Heidelberg rather, north of Laurel. And as we continue to 4 a.m., you can see the H.R.R. does bring an extension of that line, maintaining some very intense cells, embedded cells within this line. And again, if any of these were to go severe, the primary threat would be very localized, strong damaging wind gusts to 60 miles per hour probably, along with some 1-inch hail. And this would be 4 a.m. So Thursday morning may very well get an ODART 30 wake-up call. And then as we move forward now, we get to 5 a.m. You see it kind of starts to weaken a bit, and the south of I-12, the worst of it, moving through Slidell, Pearl River, and down to Pierre Part, Franklin, approaching Morgan City and Thibodaux. And as we get to 6 a.m., kind of breaks up, and basically Destrehan, Mimosa Park, Des Allemands, Jean Lafitte, Belle Chase, the New Orleans metro area, Metry, and points east of there, and some residual showers across Acadiana. And then as we move to 7 a.m., it's pretty much done. So only Grand Isle and down there at the bottom of Lafourche and Plaquemines, basically seeing some strong boomers, and maybe off the coast of Terrebonne there. So right now, I would say there is a possibility that this marginal risk maybe gets extended if the H.R.R. maintains some of those stronger cells getting down here. But despite if they don't, that still doesn't mean that some of these could approach severe thresholds 45, 50 mile per hour winds, and possibility of some, you know, dime to nickel sized hail, certainly possible, given the grand scheme of things. So, uh, and again, you see the worst of it out here off the Gulf. And then we'll put this in motion one more time here. And you can see all of this moisture just associated with 93L just kind of congealing out here in the Gulf, but it's basically heading towards Florida on that west to east trajectory there. And then after that, Thursday night, the temps start to drop. And we'll be back into the 50s. So, uh, again, don't look for any of the big time cool downs until we get in the next week, late next week. If that forecast holds, it's subject to change as always. You know how these things go. But if that's the case, I'll be cooking my first gumbo of the year more than likely, or maybe some jambalaya at the new place. So either way, we'll see what happens. And as for now, we'll put live radar in. Nothing here in the state. Offshore, over in Texas, up in Oklahoma, that's where all the action's at right now. It's not a whole lot at that. So um, I'll check back on the this post after I upload it. Maybe later on this afternoon, I'll check for any questions or comments and answer you. But for now, don't worry about Invest 93L. It probably becomes a tropical depression that's going to sit there and meander. Don't let all the hypesters get your anxiety up because it's nothing to get excited about. So it's not going to affect us in any kind of big time way. So with that, y'all have a good rest of your Tuesday, and we'll talk to you again later. Thanks for tuning in.